Hey, I found Fred Cooper in a Mickey Mouse costume, and I put it on here.
Okay.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful. There we go. We have you. You're on there.
Okay.
Now,
And just so we are aware, so today we were just going to tell you a little bit about the Tahitian Noni brand, its history, and then Brett West, who's really the star of this show. He's our head scientist for Noni, and he's been doing this 25 years. He's going to talk a little bit about the science of Noni fruit and our products. Will that be a good, is that what you would like to cover tonight? Will that be a good overview?
yes, we do want to cover it, but we also want to, we're kind of a relational team. People want to know that we are real people. Well, not us. I'm the real people. You're real people who have families, who have. Now, how far along are you, Erin?
I am 36 weeks pregnant and I'm really tired. So that's where I'm at right now, but
Okay,
happy to be here.
Great big hand. Give her a great big hand. And see, that's what we like about, and that's kind of the things we cover on this, because we're talking to people who are building businesses, but we're also talking to families and to people that have children, who have needs, it's not just about the science. It is all about the science, but it's also about why it's so important. And that you, Erin, you're the brand director. You used to be with one of the top skincare lines in the country. We talked about you used to be with Pete's Coffee, and all of you who know of a Seven Flames coffee shop, she is now my favorite person. And you used to be with 23andMe, so you have a lot of training on DNA, which I'm sure Brett will get. Well, we won't get into it, but not only do we want to know about the product, but we want to know why you chose to come here and what makes Tahitian Noni different as a product for somebody who's looking to build a business.
Sure. Okay. Well, I chose to come here, and really a thread that runs throughout my career and just my personal passion is I'm personally passionate about people taking control of their own health and people taking control of their own wellness. And I don't think, it's not enough to go to the doctor once a year and just be a passive participant in your health. And that's something that I truly believe in. So any company that takes wellness seriously, that has scientific credibility and products that really help you on your own personal wellness journey, that resonates a lot with me. So that's why I'm here. And the more I learned about the history of Noni, I mean, the product has been, Tahitian Noni juice has been around for 25 plus years, but Noni fruit in general has been used for thousands of years for wellness. And there's something to that, right? And modern science has really backed up the traditional uses of Noni fruit. And the more I learned, the more I was just interested and hooked, and thought this was something that it's a story that really deserves to be told. And I was excited from a branding perspective because this is a brand that's rich in its legacy and rich in its history, but certainly has the opportunity, or had the opportunity, to be modernized and brought to a new modern audience. So that's part of the reason that I joined the company, was how do we tell the Noni story to the next generation? And I think that's why it's such an interesting business opportunity today, because when you think about what the world is going through right now with the global pandemic, and you think about some of the trends that are going on in wellness, whether it's antioxidants, which we all know about, but adaptogens or nootropics and things like this that are all really rooted in natural solutions, Noni was really ahead of its time. So I think it's just a story that's like ripe for, again, introduction to the next generation of like Noni drinkers. So that's why I'm here. Does that help?
That helps a lot, because I think it's really important for people to know that it's like, most everybody on this call, I can tell you they're passionate. They're passionate about health. They're passionate about not just wanting to stick some poisons and non-toxic, and which I found out Brett is really like smart on that kind of stuff. So I think it's important not only for us to know how to market this and what the position is in the market, but why? Why? What makes us different? Why are scientists suddenly go, oh, we found this new miracle thing that's been around for 2,000 years?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll go through some of our slides, but why don't you just stop us along the way and ask questions? I prefer it to just be more of a conversation. And I'll just skim over some of this, but I think that—
And if you have any questions, put them in the chats, please.
And I'll—
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna set up the brand sort of and what we stand for, because I think that's really important. And then Brett will talk a little bit about the history of noni fruit and its benefits and the science behind it. So I think we all know that modern life, especially in 2020, 21, brings a lot of wellness challenges. And a lot of us are trying to balance the demands of everyday life with keeping ourselves healthy. So we're a brand that's really based in helping our customers, enabling them to get the most out of every day by using the natural wisdom of Tahiti. And when we say getting the most out of every day, this is not a sports performance brand. This is not like an energy brand. We are for everyday people trying to make the most of their everyday lives, helping them take those like small daily steps that can just help you live a better, more fulfilled every day. And all grounded in Tahiti. So Tahiti and the history of Tahiti and French Polynesia is core to who we are, core to our DNA. We believe that cultures like Tahiti, with perhaps a simpler way of life, a more natural way of life, a slower way of life, that they can show us a better way to live. We believe that there's wisdom in traditional remedies. That doesn't mean we don't believe in modern science. We think when you take those traditional remedies and they're validated by science, they can be just as effective as a pill or something that you would get at the pharmacy. And we really believe that those consistent daily behaviors can make a really big impact on your health. And again, it's just creating routine and making sure that every day you're taking those small steps to take care of yourself.
Well, Erin, there are a lot of products out there, and you take a pill and then I have a friend who, the reason I am in health and nutrition is because she was a nurse who said, we were taught from the very beginning that you have to decide whether the side effects are worse than the disease that we're for. So it seems to me that something that's simple and has supported generations of families makes a lot of sense, especially today.
We definitely agree with you. I think that's the cornerstone of the brand, and that's why we talk about life powered by paradise. It's our tagline, but it means a lot to us because paradise is not just the fact that we have this connection to Tahiti. We really believe that if you take these small daily steps and you ground yourself in like these natural solutions, you can create your own everyday paradise, right? Living a healthier life allows you to also be more fulfilled. So that's the meaning behind our tagline. And all of it is based in noni, this super fruit from Tahiti. So Brett, do you want to talk a little bit about the history of noni and then we can get into some of its benefits?
I'd be happy to. Let me lead
Brett,
off.
before you start, can I kind of preface something here?
Sure.
I'm gonna judge because I did some research on you. 2003, you took to market, and EU, which we know is the hardest place to get something approved, safety. You got the safety certification. In 2006, safe food certification. In 2008, novel food certification. And 2009, Taiwan food certification. You have all sorts of accolades as an expert in nutraceuticals and in food science. Over 75 publications, 2,000 citations. But the thing that gets me And I think this is important to some of the people we have on the call. Everything I read was food, 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 food.
That's correct. And you're quite a good private investigator. I'm glad I didn't do anything illegal. You would have found that out. So thank you for that introduction there. Yeah, I've been, I don't want to go too long because I know it's not a long call, but I give you a brief history here on maybe my
You go
involvement.
as long as you need to.
Okay. Let me first say something about, so this is a LIMU group, right? Correct?
Well, it was, but we're kind of like a lot of limu, and then also a lot of the Skincerity. We're kind of a mix. We're actually a very mixed group.
Okay. For those of you who are LIMU connoisseurs, okay, it's okay to like LIMU and NONI both. Okay, about 18 years ago or so, we were kicking the tires on doing a LIMU and NONI product together. So
Really?
yeah, and we didn't quite bring it to market yet, but I just want to let you know they're both Pacific Island type health products. And so now NONI, just real quick, back in at the University of Arizona, where I was studying pharmacology and toxicology. Okay, had a special emphasis in toxicology as well. I had a government grant to help me pay for me to focus in an area there, in toxicology and looking at how to protect the body and so forth. I was introduced to NONI by my sister-in-law, Tisha Noni Juice, in 1996. My wife and I just had our first child then, our oldest boy. And he, after the delivery of him, my sister-in-law came down to visit us. His company Moreland had just begun. Tisha Noni just been launched. She introduced the NONI to us, and my wife used it to help her recover after childbirth. My sister-in-law didn't quite understand the science behind NONI, what little there was some explanations, but she kind of got things mixed up. And so when she explained to me what NONI was, my first impression is that this was baloney. And I kind of thought this was a sort of voodoo medicine or something. But the turn of events happened that soon thereafter, within a short time, I was actually offered a position to do research at Moreland, doing research on NONI. And I said, okay, I'm going to give this thing 1 year. Okay, I'm a researcher. I can find out if something does work or doesn't work. I'm going to give it 1 year. And if there's nothing to it, I'm out of here. And I'm going to go back to my original plans. Well, that was in 1997 when I started doing that. I'm still here doing research on NONI. So it's the real deal. I just want you to know that.
Well, not only are you still here, you are considered a leader in the field.
Yeah, thank you for that. I've worked with a lot of good people in that area, and we've done a lot of research and found out a lot of good things about NONI and why it works. So NONI, here's the story about NONI. NONI was used as a food and as a medicine traditionally, like Erin mentioned, thousands of years ago. In fact, it's what we call a canoe plant. So when the Pacific Islanders, the Polynesian people, would go and travel across the ocean and go and colonize a new island, as they were moving from the western part of the Pacific out through the east, they would take NONI fruit with them. They had limited space on their canoes, and so they would take only the most important plants with them as they would go and colonize a new island. And NONI was one of those plants, of course, because of its health benefits. And as they went along from island to island, they would find, that maybe as they planted NONI, that a certain type of variety of NONI, one was better than the other. So by the time they got out to Tahiti, heading east across the Pacific, they had selected naturally the best NONI. And so, in fact, that was borne out by the phytonutrient analysis we've done. We actually published results on NONI. So here you see the second point here. NONI's chock full of phytonutrients, and they include a very unique group of phytonutrients called iridoids. You don't find these in oranges. You don't find them in bananas or grapes. The common phytonutrients you find, like flavonoids, these are a different group. They're very unique to NONI, and it gives it its powerful antioxidant and adaptogenic benefits. And that's why NONI, and it actually interface with the body's, the various systems in the body, have a powerful effect. That's why it does so many broad things. There is a expert on Polynesian herbal medicine. He was affiliated with the U.S. National Tropical Botanical Garden and the University of Hawaii. His name was Dr. Arthur Whistler, and he wrote a book called Polynesian Herbal Medicine, the area that he was an expert in. And he talked about all the different medicinal plants used in the Pacific Islands. And he stated that noni was the most commonly and widely used medicinal plant prior to the arrival of the Europeans. So it had a special place in their tradition, their what we call materia medica, their natural, herbal products, their herbal medicines, and had a special place there. So since that time, though, since the discovery by the rest of the world, in fact, it was in the 1700s, Captain James Cook's voyage to Tahiti, when they started writing down, they noted that noni had been used, and they wrote down the plants that these Tahitians used and talked about noni. But since that time, there's been a lot of research to validate its benefits. And we've done a large number of clinical trials on noni, and to validate the benefits of the fruit and the leaves. But we're talking about the juice, so we're going to focus on the fruit here. Again, powered by iridoids. They give it its powerful adaptogenic properties. An adaptogen, as some of you may know, is there to help the body resist stress, whether that's a physical stress, a chemical stress, a biological stress. Think of chemical stress like cigarette smoke or pollution, sometimes preservatives in the food, things like that. Biological stress, of course, would be bacteria, viruses. Physical stresses, exhaustion, physical exhaustion. And also it can help with the what we would often think of stress as our mental, emotional stress as well. But primarily those three areas of physical, chemical, and biological. So it promotes, as you see here, overall wellness, healthy immune system. That's one of the early benefits, seriously researched benefits of noni was the immune system. And in China, mainland China, they have a process called a functional food process. It's an approval is what it is. And we had all this research done on the immune system of noni and Tisha noni juice, but then you can go to the government and apply. When we finally got into the mainland China, we actually applied for this functional food approval, and you have to present your data and then go through all these tests that they specify. And we went through all those tests and included a broad range of studies. We did a human clinical trial as part of that as well. And we now have in mainland China an official stamp on our label that you don't get in the other markets because it's not being sold. I mean, that's specific to China, but it says it is an immune booster is what it is, been approved as such. But we found also that noni boosts energy and endurance. Erin, you can jump in if you want to. I hope I'm not stealing
Oh, please.
That's great.
So you're all, maybe you're familiar with the Smithsonian Institute, right? Everybody,
Right.
Yes. They have different publications. One of them is called the Atoll Research Bulletin, and it's research on plants and medicinal plants and these kind of things, and the fauna and flora of these atolls in the Pacific. And in one of these, there was a guy named Thaman, a researcher there. It was about 1993. He recorded that in the Pacific Islands, people use noni fruit traditionally on long fishing voyages, and and also as they're going between islands, sailing around. And they used it to keep their stamina up as a stimulant. And we actually found that this is true with additional clinical trials in athletes, where we saw it improved endurance, physical endurance, and it helped offset muscle damage and other things that helped improve energy and endurance. And we'll talk about that.
Would this be used as a recovery, or would it be used before?
Yes and yes. Okay, so it's again, iridoids in there, powered by iridoids and these other phytonutrients. They are good at so many levels in the body. Good for so many things at so many levels. Okay. Now, it sustains joint health. We actually did a clinical trial with this. There's been more than one too, involving osteoarthritis patients. Now, I'm not making an official claim here, medical claim, okay, but just so you know, it's published that Tisha noni juice was given to these people, It was in a clinical trial with the University of Illinois College of Medicine and the Swedish American Hospital. For those of you who are up in that part of Illinois know that, and involved over 80 osteoarthritis patients and saw benefits when they used that and published that as well. And again, healthy cardiovascular system helps support that. We have research on that involving heavy smokers. And also we did a series of studies involving heavy smokers. These are people who smoke 19 or more cigarettes a day. And you may ask, why do we do that? Well, one is we wanted to put NONI to the test, Tahitian noni juice to the test. We're going to find a challenging environment. And we also wanted to see what it would do for a number of health conditions that, carcinogens and other things. And we found people who are smoking. Everybody knows smoking is bad for you, right?
Yeah.
It does terrible part, it does a lot to the body, bad stuff to the body. So we actually just kind of Tahitian noni up. We made a placebo that had our other fruit flavors in there. And I actually formulated this placebo. I found noni has a unique flavor. Okay. It naturally produces some small and medium chain fatty acids that are more typically found in cheeses, strong cheese flavors. Okay. So I made a placebo, used this cheese flavor to mimic the noni. And so we have grape and blueberry in there, healthy fruit juices, but we want to see if noni, how powerful it is and see what it could do. So you'll see here in this Erin's presentation, it fights harmful free radicals and protects against oxidative damage. That also was against oxidative damage of the DNA in the white blood cells of these smokers. So we measured their DNA damage in their white blood cells before drinking Tahitian noni juice or the placebo. Then we had them drink this for 1 month. They continued to smoke 19 or more cigarettes a day. Drew the blood again, checked the DNA damage, the free radical levels. We saw that the grape and blueberry juice, even though those are good, healthy juices and they have some phytonutrients in there, they were not up to the task of that excessive cigarette smoke. But Tahitian noni juice caused significant declines in DNA damage, significant declines in free radical levels. Now back to the iridoids. When we discovered what made noni unique, that it had this group of phytonutrients that were unique to noni, fairly unique to noni, we did some research where we actually extracted those iridoids from the noni fruit and then ran a test. This was something, my toxicology background allowed me to do this. So in our own lab, I actually took cells and exposed them to a carcinogen and measured the amount of DNA damage that occurred. That's why it's a carcinogen. It was damaging the DNA, and that led to, could lead to problems potentially. And then what I did is I repeated the experiment, but I exposed these cells to noni, these iridoids first from noni, then exposed them to the carcinogen, and it reduced the DNA damage by 99%, almost complete.
Wow.
So this is how we tied this together, clinical trial and the phytonutrients and the research. So the whole bunch of benefits, there's actually a paper, you may have found this already, one that we published in 2018. It's a review paper of all these human clinical trials on Tahitian noni juice, wide range of benefits. Maybe Erin, I might punt it back over to you because I've been talking quite a bit here. So
We appreciate it because the Limu people on here, we're like,
yes.
we're sure that noni, like Limu, it's just a coincidence because we know we don't heal, treat, or cure anything. It's just a coincidence that all of us on here are very healthy people.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, and no one can convince you of the benefits of noni like Brett. So Brett, thank you, because you can.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll just give a little bit more background on the brand and our products, but I'll try to go quick because nothing's as exciting and interesting as Brett speaking. But so Tahitian noni brand, it's the largest noni brand in the world. And it was founded in 1996, really the first company to introduce the power of this fruit to the world. We are the leading global noni experts, thanks to leaders in the scientific study like Brett. We've published over 300 articles and including clinical trials on the benefits of noni and our products specifically. So we have lots of studies on our final formula and the benefits that it can provide. We're also the largest economic partner to the island of Tahiti, which I think is a really interesting thing. It's just this long-standing partnership that we've had for 25 plus years with them, where there's really like a give and take between us and the people of Tahiti, which I think is a really nice story. And we have quite a few philanthropic efforts that we partner with them on as well. We're sold in over 60 countries, and we recently just refreshed our brand in order to tell some of these modern wellness stories. So this is our suite of everyday wellness products. The Tahitian Noni Original that you see in the big bottle on the left, that was the original formula from day one. It has remained unchanged, but we do have a suite of other products that support the original formula, all with their own unique benefits. So we recently launched this line of wellness shots, which you can see here. One of them is the original formula, just in a more convenient format. So it's your daily dose of Tahitian Noni juice in an on-the-go shot. That said, we also launched 3 additional wellness shots that include other functional ingredients that, when combined with Noni, focus on specific benefits. So there's a concentration energy shot that we call Focus. It does include some natural caffeine sources. There's a sleep shot that includes GABA and L-theanine and Noni. Noni is known for some anti-anxiety properties, so the calming impact of Noni combined with those other sleep ingredients powers our sleep shot. And then again, we all know that Noni has inherent immunity benefits, but in the immunity shot, we are combining it with another functional food ingredient called Epicor. It's actually a proprietary ingredient that we license for an even stronger immune benefit. And all of these products are all natural, they're preservative free, we don't use artificial flavors, and as Brett has proven, backed by rigorous research. And I think one of the really interesting angles, especially in today's world, when you're talking about the story of Noni, is that we have tree-to-bottle traceability. And this really goes back to our relationship with the island of Tahiti. We have relationships with basically all of our farmers. They're longstanding multi-generational relationships, and it allows us to really trace the fruit back to its farm of origin and make sure that all of those farms are meeting our high quality standards. So we focus on small scale growth. Most of our farms are small family farms. And we're obviously leveraging the unique composition of the Tahitian soil that Brett talked about. Those longstanding farming relationships allow us to ensure that no fertilizers or pesticides and the appropriate farming standards are being used. And then we are vertically integrated in terms of our manufacturing process. So even after the fruit leaves Tahiti and gets to the United States for processing, we are completely vertically integrated and have control over that process. And then we are backed by a money back guarantee because we know the quality of this product. So when we talk about your daily Tahitian Noni wellness routine, we encourage everyone to start their day with Tahitian Noni Original. That's really our foundational health supplement, and it's our essential supplement that we think everyone should be taking. And then as you need different benefits or as your lifestyle demands, you can amplify the benefits of Noni with some of our wellness shots.
And these are good things that Erin even helped work on. Remember, Erin, and working on these and getting these.
It was a long process, but yeah, long process. But we're really proud of the wellness shots, and it does offer a more modern format with some specific benefits that we know are top of mind for many customers in today's world. So the rest of the
nice thing about this is that right now, unfortunately, I'm sorry, to us, we only have the large bottles available at this time. We have them in the back office. If you have not checked, no, they are no longer on our special perks, but we do have, you can get a case in the back office, and highly recommend it. But I like the fact of the packaging, because Limo used to have individual packaging, and then we went to the major bottles. And so it's nice to be able to have smaller bottles that you can take with you, you can put in your purse. Question, Noni, is it susceptible to the environment, such as heat? Can you put it in your car? I keep Blue Frog in my trunk. I actually had to go in and get my stash the other day because I was out. So can you do that? Does it affect its efficacy?
It does not affect its efficacy. So remember the iridoids in there?
Yes.
We've beat them up in our testing, try to destroy them. Very hard to do. They're actually very stable. So this is a good question, because some of these other phytonutrients, some flavonoids, you know, certain, there's a group of them, these, I won't get into the details. Oh, sorry, I was about to get into some phytochemistry. We'll avoid that. But not all of them are stable. It's a good question. Not all are stable. Some cannot handle the heat so well, you know, if it's sitting on a car, or you have to pasteurize these juices a lot of, you know, law requires that. Also the stability over time, you know, if you have a shelf life declared on the bottle, is there going to be the full amount of these phytonutrients in there? In the case of iridoids and noni, the answer is yes. In fact, we had a bottle once that was 9 years old. We pulled off the shelf. We measured the iridoid content in there. It had only declined in that time a little bit, 10% is all. We still had 90% of the total iridoids in there after 9 years of sitting around in a bottle. So definitely.
So that's kind of like glyconutrients. You can tell, probably know exactly where I started in this industry. With the glyconutrients, even though they had an expiration date, the expiration date was like 0.01% efficacy every couple years. So this is the same type of thing. If you have it, so imagine if it works like that in a bottle, what it does to your body.
Yeah. In fact, you know, just a little factoid here. Sorry, Erin, one more.
We'll take them.
The iridoids are actually produced by the plant to protect it against, you know, bacteria, viruses, fungi, you know, other attacks on it. It's kind of like it's part of its immune system. And it happens to do the same thing to us, these iridoids. Coincidentally, the plants produce it to protect themselves. The noni plant protects itself with these iridoids. The iridoids protect us as well. Back to you, Erin.
Well, I mean, that's really all I have. The rest of the presentation, which I can send out to this group, I'm happy to share.
Would you please?
Yes, and the rest of the presentation just goes into a little bit more detail about each product, which you guys can read through. But that's sort of the gist of it. I think we covered all the high level points, unless you have other questions.
No, this is exactly what we needed, because we as a team are very much alternate lifestyle, as far as going back to what the body was created. You give the body the correct fuel, and the body was created to run itself optimally, and it was created to, we can't use the word, it runs optimally if we give it what it needs. How was that? Was that very politically correct? So for this group, this was exactly, I believe, what we needed, because many of us are of a certain age, and because of, you know, our environment and everything, people are looking for an answer, and we need to let them know what the difference is, because it is our job to help people improve their quality of life. And people, if we understand why it works, then people may be more interested in trying something than if we just said, oh, it's really good. And, you know, Brett West, he's a really smart guy and he says, drink it. That doesn't work anymore. People want to know the truth. As a matter of fact, if we can, Brett or Erin, if you could send me the link for the review study, I have a whole file, and we all do. I know all the leaders do. We all have a whole file on clinical research studies, because if you're taking Flintstone vitamins, God bless you. You know, we're going to pray for you, you know. So we totally appreciate this. And we're the group that we wanted you to go deep. I can tell you. And so we appreciate that, because that's what builds our business. Having quality, but also being able to coach people on a better quality of life. So we thank you so very much. And by the way, just so you know, and I don't know if Tammy's on here, but I happen to have, now, you know, I'm a Limu girl. It's like, you know, that's just, you know, another one of those things. But okay, so I'm ordering mine. But we happen to have a particular racehorse, $1 million racehorse, whose trainer makes sure that they have NONI every day.
Wow.
Yeah, got
You
my
know,
attention.
We actually did work in horses as well. I didn't have it in that review paper, but we've done a bunch with horses and cattle and different livestock. And yeah,
Well, we have a team of professional horse racers on this team. So they knew NONI right away.
yeah, some of that probably came originally from the work we were doing we had a group called Moreland Agriculture that, and then there were some things spun off. And so that may have
Well,
been.
if you can keep a horse going, it certainly can keep us going. So thank you so much. We are so thankful. This is exactly what we needed. In order to run a good business, you need to know your products. And actually,
well,
I know
there are a couple chat questions that maybe Brett could answer for everyone. I want to make sure as I'm reading.
Would you get those, please? Thank you. I missed them.
Yeah. So can children take the product, Brett?
Yes, they can. I have a big family. I have a lot of kids, and they all drink NONI. And they drink them since they were very small.
What about people on blood thinners?
Yes, they can. So blood thinners, you know, we've not seen any issue there. In fact, we did safety studies, of course, and NONI didn't have any effect on them, on blood clotting. You know, had no negative effect. And there's no vitamin K in it. So those of you who have to watch that, just so you're familiar with that, no vitamin K in there to counteract the blood thinning medication.
So for those of us who are, Limu is one of our primary markets, blood thinners, the anticoagulant is an issue for us. So now we have an answer. So thank you very much.
And I think this is the last one I'm seeing, and I've seen this online, so I'm interested in this. Is it true that people with poor kidney function should not be on NONI juice because of the high potassium content?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of information that's been, it's misinformation, I guess is what I'd call it, or misunderstood. So NONI has potassium. It's an okay source, but it's the same as grape juice and orange juice. See, plants pull potassium out of the soil very well. That's why if you want some potassium, you go eat your fruits and vegetables. Everybody knows this, right? Who knows nutrition, who knows whole foods. And NONI is very typical in that way. Where that story came from is there was a guy who was on dialysis and his doctor told him, don't eat fruits, don't eat vegetables, you know, watch your, you know, he was had this controlled diet and he was drinking NONI juice, and the doctor found out he saw your potassium hasn't come down like I thought it was going to. Why? And he said, well, I'm drinking NONI juice. He had it analyzed and no surprise to anybody who knows plants, fruits and vegetables, there was potassium in there. That's all he commented on it. But writers later on commenting on it said, oh, it's got high potassium. It's not going to be good for your kidney. Didn't understand the issue. NONI does not harm the kidney. In fact, it helps protect the kidney. We've actually got research on that, helping protect kidney function. The potassium level in there is typical of fruits in general. Banana is actually higher than noni in potassium. You got more potassium in yogurt than you do in noni as well. So if somebody has a restriction on potassium, then just be mindful of that and then work it into your diet accordingly. But there's no potassium issue. So it's a good question, because sometimes you read things on the internet and they're not exact always.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I was a child who was never supposed to be an adult, live to be an adult because of kidney issues. And the potassium issue comes up all of the time. And I can tell you for a fact that I know in Lima, and now it's going to be, noni is, okay, you convinced me. I'm adding it. If you give it if you get the proper source, it actually, if I have found it strengthened and improved my function. So thank you. I was going like, oh, please, I want to take it. So thank you. How much do you drink a day?
As much as you want to. So
I like that answer.
drink at least an ounce. Drink an ounce. Go 2, go 4, go more. I myself drink. I drink a lot actually of noni juice. Better clarify that. I drink a lot of noni juice.
But our stated dose is 2 ounces a day.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can't overdose on it because it's food. Yes,
that's correct. I drink usually a glass a day, half a glass. I drink it throughout the day a couple times, but it's easy a glass.
Yes, sorry, serving, not dose. Correct. We should not be saying dose. You're totally right, Michael. Sorry about that.
Remove the word dose from your vocabularies, team. Yeah. You cannot say that, but it's a food source, and food the body recognizes. And if it's not food, the body says, oh, see me, feed me, heal me. And if it's not food, it expels you. It expels it. So I'm not a scientist, but I read a lot.
This is a good point.
And I stayed at a Holiday Inn.
Yes. All right. So it's an adaptogen, okay? Noni's an adaptogen. One of the criteria for an adaptogen is that it brings the body into normal functioning ranges. For instance, if you have high cholesterol, it's not a drug effect, but I'm just giving an example, okay? Elevated cholesterol, like we saw with some of our smokers, brings it back down more into normal range. But if you have normal cholesterol, it doesn't lower it, okay? It brings you into the normal, healthy, functioning range that you're supposed to be in. And adaptogens do not cause harm as well. So it must not cause harm. It must push the body, or help the body, not push the body, but help the body function optimally within normal ranges, whatever that is having a benefit on. And it doesn't have a drug-like effect. And then it helps with those stresses I talked about. So again, you can take a lot of these adaptogens and they don't cause harm, because that's just the nature of the adaptogen. If you take too much and it would cause a problem, then it's not an adaptogen. That's something else. It's so noni, we've actually done, again, we did part of the novel food approval that you were mentioning earlier.
Yes.
We did these studies where we gave people and said, you drink 3/4 of a bottle a day, every day. And we drew blood on these people. We did everything you can think of. Electrocardiograms, we did complete physicals, blood analysis, everything you can think of. And safe, absolutely safe.
Well, it says a health professional is to cause no harm. And if you look at it, these are the only types of nutrients out there that cause no harm. So it is really the creative, okay, soapbox. This is the creative health, preferred health practice as we were created to enjoy.
So Brett, I think maybe we say these are the last questions as we get close to time, but there are a couple of questions around thyroid function. Can it help? Have we looked at people with MS? And then what if someone is on an autoimmune medication that lowers the immune system function?
Let me start with the autoimmune one first. So noni's impact, again, on the immune system. I use the term boost immune system. That's the simplified term, okay? The immune system is not, it's not blood pressure, where it goes up or goes down. The immune system has many parts to it, right? There's parts that protect you. And as we see with autoimmune things, sometimes there's parts that get a little out of control and they can cause problems. Rheumatoid arthritis is an example, okay? Somebody's taking autoimmune. So NONI does not boost everything in the immune system because that's just not possible. Parts, the seesaw, or tug of war games, it's parts of the immune system kind of do that back and forth. They sort of control each other. And NONI helps modulate is the best term, modulate the immune system. So what it means is that there are parts of the immune system that protect the body, for instance, from viruses and so forth, that helps increase those parts in that protection aspect, but while modulating the overreaction of the other part of the immune system that would involve some inflammation, things like that cause the problems or cause some tissue damage in the joints, like in a rheumatoid type of situation. Okay, so if they're taking an I don't know if they're taking a cortisone or what they're taking, but NONI actually could benefit that. So if you're concerned, you can of course talk to your doctor, or you can start out with an ounce or two a day and see how you're doing with it. Okay, but I don't have any concern there because of how NONI modulates the immune system. Now and so we have lots of information on that. Remember the impact on osteoarthritis, even though it's not rheumatoid, but it's still some of that effect on helping control those parts, the inflammatory aspects of the immune system. Okay, so that's one. Now the other one was on thyroid issues. I don't know exactly the condition, but NONI supports the body in general. We haven't done a clinical trial just taking people who have underperforming thyroid, or lower, they're taking thyroid medication or anything like that. So, but what we do know is that in general, so it doesn't cause any harm. We know that. And then the other one is that it generally helps. So if somebody is the impact of I don't know what they're having, low energy, weight gain, things like this, it actually, remember, has benefits in those areas. We've actually done a study in weight loss and weight control, energy levels and stuff like that. So it's supportive to the body, even if it's not your specific condition. So it'd be hard for me to really comment on, what exactly the issue is, and how NONI would help without knowing the details. But in general, it is supportive to health. Now, I went kind of long answers there. And the middle question was again, Erin?
There's one around MS, and now people are also asking about gout and type 1 diabetes.
Okay.
Folks, let's be careful here in the fact that we do not heal, treat, or cure a disease. So it's very important that what you're learning here is not, you don't go to somebody who has gout. We talked about it. Those of you who are on Thursday mornings, Thankful Thursday, have heard my story on a company that I was with who went from being a multi-million-dollar company to a dead company in 30 days because somebody said, can you help my cancer? And they said, yes, we could. Now, if you want to know the truth, yes, it did. But it's illegal to do anything in the United States unless you're a pharmaceutical. So please, as we get into this, I'm sorry, I have to be a leader and say, you cannot say that it will help with heart disease. It's probably just a side effect and it's just a coincidence. What you say is, I know it can't hurt, and there have been some studies. You might want to research those studies, and it can't hurt. Why don't we try it? But please be very careful, because I've seen this happen. You start asking because he knows. You start asking the questions, and then you go and tell somebody that it will cure, treat. And Michael knows, because Michael and I both lost a fortune in the other company. We don't do that, but you need to know that it is beneficial. So I'm sorry, I needed to stop. You can answer the questions, but I could see from this side that we could have had an issue there.
Okay, so in the United States, we have something called structure function claims that we're allowed to make. And you do research, basically the research to support that structure function claim is to show an actual benefit that is more like a drug claim, but what you actually state, for instance, maintains healthy cardiovascular system is how we'd say it, helps maintain that, right? You'll see those on the labels of things. So how to answer
Helps
that?
maintain.
Yes,
Write that down.
NONI helps maintain healthy blood glucose levels. Okay, that's the way to say it.
Thank you.
There was actually a clinical trial with type 2 diabetics. The type 1, there's some more limited information, but we will say the evidence is there. It helps maintain that. And we can give you a copy of the publication on that one too, so people can read. Then the other one was multiple sclerosis. And there are some, again, limited information on that. We've not done a clinical trial with people but we have information based on research that has been done, as well as some case, kind of a testimonial type, case report type situations where there is potential benefit there, but I'm not going to say if it will. I don't guarantee it, but there are a number of things that NONI does to the body that should at least help. Or help.
For those of you who are looking at that, there are a couple of case studies out there on phytonutrients and MS, and this being of the classification of phytonutrients.
Yes. And then there was another one related to that. I seemed like there's another one thrown in there. Erin, maybe I got it.
Gout.
Oh, gout. Okay, that's a good one too. We actually, I think we have a patent on that one with NONI and gout, but we've not done any further work. There's something called xanthine oxidase. It's an enzyme that's involved in that, and we have done research on it to show NONI has an impact on that, help it function properly. But I'm not going to go so far as saying it's going to cure everything. And I don't know if you're eating a lot of pork or whatever's going on. You know, you got to have a combined approach to treating gout. But we've actually have some secured intellectual property in that area. But we've not developed that into a product.
Fantastic. Okay, I can tell you right now, you have Limu fanatics who probably are going to now be Limu plus NONI fanatics. We are very, we as a group are very much, this is our cup of tea, right down our lane. So thank you.
And I'm with you on
very
that.
much.
I'm with you.
So now let me ask you, okay, Erin, you can have your baby. If you could go have your baby and have a nice healthy baby, we want pictures because you got a bunch of, okay, we want pictures, but can you come back at some point, and you've done a lot of work on NONI leaves. I noticed
Yes.
a lot of research, and maybe come back and give us, once we've had a chance to digest, give us the next step.
Okay, Miss T, did you read the study where I did the analysis, the antioxidant testing between green tea and NONI leaf tea?
And
NONI
yours wasn't
stronger.
even hermetically sealed.
Yeah, and NONI was stronger. I went and presented that to a meeting in Japan once, and then our sales of NONI leaf tea shot through the roof after that. The Japanese really understood that really well. So.
All right.
Well,
So,
even without me, Brett can come back, I'm sure, as often as you would like him to talk about the different aspects of the NONI plant. He's a wealth of knowledge. So.
well, Erin, you just have that. Is it a boy or a girl?
A boy.
All right. Do we have a name?
Not one that I'm willing to publicly share.
Okay. So we know our Erin, we've got a new baby in the house. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you. We're kind of a different call, but we very much appreciate you. And we appreciate you taking the time. And we appreciate your knowledge and sharing it with us. So we're going to unmute the lines, and please let them know how much you appreciate the time that they have spent with us.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.